Are you so entertained in this?
Oh,
it's so nonchalant about the whole process. Like, oh, it's a dead body. Oh, he shot himself. Oh, he's jerking off while he's dying. Oh, it's totally fine.
Putting on like a latex glove and pulling down his pants like, oh, he's clearly shat himself. He's like inspecting the stool sample.
No, seriously, that's what they're doing. They touch the body and go, oh, the body's cold. Yeah, he's been dead about 8 hours.
He pulls out a fucking chicken drumstick, starts eating, licking his fingers like, So there's signs of insertion in the anus. Let me inspect that. So you gonna eat that chicken? Alright, let me have a piece of that.
Some KFC on the counter. I want to see that. I thought it was quite weird how basically, because something serious happened, the guy like killed himself. There's a bunch of fucking forensic CSI guys just walking around like nothing happened, man. Just another day in the office,
Well, see, look, so for all the aspiring comics out there that feel like they're failing, if you kill yourself, a bunch of fat dudes are going to be prodding your anus. So, don't do it, alright? Through drought and famine, natural disasters.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to listeners all across the World Wide Web. Welcome to the Sapiosexual podcast.
Okay.
I'm your host, Kane.
And this is Eric.
So, guys, another week in the books. And, Eric, how have you been, man?
It's been good, man. I mean, I think most of my week's just been preoccupied with work,
Yeah.
Lots of hours.
Any playtime?
Yeah, a bit of playtime. Yeah, no, on Friday night, had a going away for one of my colleagues, moving to Melbourne, the great southern city.
It's a great place.
It's a fun city. It's an arty city.
It's a beautiful place.
So, just a bit of barbecue, a bit of soju, a bit of karaoke.
Nice.
But, I think new you, new me, man. Like, I didn't get fucked up this time. No one had to throw me in an Uber. I managed to catch the last train out of the city at 1 a.m. and I woke up with only a mild headache.
Wow, that's good. I always say a good night, waking up from a good night the next day, it's great you had a hangover because it's God's way of telling you had a good night. But it's also bad because you're like, oh man, this is going to be a horrible day. You know what I mean?
It's like, was that night worth writing off the next day?
Exactly.
The older you get as well, the more difficult it is. You're like, oh man, I need to have everything just right. The lighting, the temperature. I need to have a fucking Duno over me.
Got to drink 2 liters of water for going to bed. Stuckle in. Yeah.
You gotta have like some fucking hydrolyte tablets. Like, I need this. Oh, you need to fucking have like bacon and eggs. Take a shit like right when you wake up.
Yes.
And then go back to bed. Get up in the afternoon, then you're sort of alright.
Yeah.
Oh man, we used to get up like when we were 18. We just get up straight away after. Like,
you'd be sweet.
Working 6 a.m. the next day.
Well, you know what it is? I think it's the alcohol actually wakes you up. You can't go into that deep REM sleep, so it clicks you on. You're like, oh, I'm awake again. You get up and start doing stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So that was good. How about you? What you been up to?
Not much, man. I don't know if the listeners know, but I'm currently unemployed, and I'm taking the government's benefits. No, I'm not. I'm not taking the benefits, but I'm training for a jiu-jitsu competition, and I'm also moving to Vietnam in the next few weeks. So at the moment I'm just training jiu-jitsu, eating healthy, living a good lifestyle, you know what I mean? I'm going vegan. No, I'm not a fucking idiot.
Sorry, I had a glass bottle, I slipped, I was about to just crack him over the head with it, but I had to pull my arm back there. I had it all cocked and ready to go for the money shot.
So I've just been eating healthy. I'm trying to cut some weight. Man, because there's a lot of dedication that goes into being healthy, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think that's a good rundown of what's going on for us, but got some interesting topics this week, but I think the first topic we wanted to talk about is a little bit somber, and quite sad and disgusting, and raises a lot of emotions around the time that we're living in at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's regarding the New Zealand terrorist attack that happened this week.
That's right. This was a coordinated terrorist attack, aiming to achieve some kind of political or ideological aim.
Yeah. It's a terrorist attack.
Dozens of innocent people have been killed at the moment so far. There's been 50 confirmed deaths.
Yeah. So this is on Friday the 15th of March.
So Friday the 15th of March, 1:40 p.m.
An Australian man, unfortunately, he was living in New Zealand. He's been living there for over a year. He immigrated over there and was joined a rifle club in early 2018. And basically, his plan was to commit a mass terrorist attack, which he did when he went to one mosque and he live streamed it on Facebook as well.
So I think the important thing. So on top of that, there was a second shooting at 1:55 p.m. at the Linwood Islamic Center. 7 people were killed there, but luckily, thanks to a hero named Abdul Aziz, managed to fight him off with like no weapon. He threw a credit card machine at him. He was darting in between cars, dodging bullets, literally dodging bullets. This is some, action movie type shit that he's doing. He picked up an empty gun
that the gunman dropped.
Yes, and tried to threaten him with it. It was empty, so he threw it at the gunman, broke the gunman's car window, managed to scare him off, and he drove away. And who knows how many dozens of lives he saved thanks to his bravery. So thank you, Abdul Aziz.
Thank you.
There's not many people who can step up and be a hero like that.
He's actually he's a hero.
Unfortunately, I have seen the guy's live stream. We shouldn't be giving him so much publicity and attention. It's disgusting. But I have seen the live stream, and there was a hero at the Al-Noor Mosque who tried to stop the guy. But when you don't have a gun and the guy's got a gun, what happened.
Exactly. So 50 people are dead, and I think more than 30 or 40 are injured at the moment in hospital. And some of the victims are like children, women.
That's right.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. And I'll just say that there's a video floating out there. There's absolutely no point to watch any of it.
Yes,
there's absolutely no
don't
point
watch it.
to watch
and
it, to know about it. It's disgusting.
People don't say his name.
Yeah.
Don't give him what he wants. And on that note, let's talk about what are his potential motives. See, on one hand, you're achieving his aims by reading his manifesto and trying to understand why he did it. But in some ways, that's the only way we can figure out how to not give him what he wants.
It's even us not saying his name and not saying to watch the video makes people want to do that.
Exactly.
I mean? But I could say from both of our experiences, after watching it, reading it, knowing everything about it, this guy doesn't deserve any time at
exactly.
all.
So I think we've read into why he did this. We've read his manifesto only to the extent that we want to, we want to avoid the outcome he was going for.
Yes.
And it's clear if you read his manifesto, the only thing that's consistent about it is his inconsistency.
Yes.
And the message, which is to divide.
Yes. This guy's a low IQ idiot.
Yeah, he's just this dude.
Idiot,
he barely got a passing grade in school. He's
a dumb fuck.
Yeah, if he didn't commit any violence, you would just call him one of those typical internet trolls.
He's an internet troll.
Low intelligent internet troll.
Yeah.
And to some extent, from what I've seen in the media and the behavior of some people out there, he's achieved his aims so far. And everybody out there needs to sort of band together and not let the outcome he was going for manifest.
Exactly.
So, what I'm seeing is, say, on the right wing or conservative side, Queensland Senator Fraser Anning releases this horrible, ridiculous open letter, basically in a roundabout way,
victim blaming. It's legitimate victim blaming.
I mean, what he said is, however, first he condemns the actions, then says, however, whilst this kind of violent vigilantism can never be justified, what it highlights is the growing fear within our community, both in Australia and New Zealand, of the increasing Muslim presence. And then I'm skipping forward here, but let us be clear. This is what he says. Let us be clear. While Muslims have been the victims today, usually they are the perpetrators. Worldwide, Muslims are killing people in the name of their faith on an industrial scale. I mean, what a thing to say.
Right.
The timing of this, I mean, I don't know what kind of conversation he's trying to bring up. But when you read what he's written here, this open letter, all I could say is he's playing the same filthy game of identity politics, actually to a worse extent than you could possibly accuse left-wing politicians of doing.
Yes.
What are you trying to say here? The people who died were all innocent.
And this is what right-wing talking points or talking heads have been talking about for a while, blaming the left for identity politics, but this guy's taking a play straight out of their book.
Exactly. You're saying somehow these innocent victims, do they hold some of the blame? Do they take some of the blame for the actions of others? No.
It's ridiculous.
If a true conservative person, and this is where I think we should all disown Fraser Anning as some kind of conservative person, because
he's not conservative.
He's not conservative. He's a fucking idiot. I mean, you can't paint everyone with the same brush. The best thing you can do, or the best worldview you can have, is to look at each individual person, judge them as an individual. Okay, And from what I've saw, the fact so far is that these people are innocent. They're just completely innocent victims. Terrible thing. And even, I mean, we could say that the timing is wrong to say things like this, but actually the way this is written, this is going to be wrong no matter when you say this.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's an idiot. And then we've got all these other actions out there, like on Twitter, someone egged him while he was speaking. He got slapped. There was a bit of violence.
So basically what happened was he was speaking, clarifying his points, and then a teenager came behind him and threw an egg on him, and he's been praised as a hero for attacking him. So, yeah, look, I get what he said was completely disgusting, especially he released this statement like 2 or 3 hours after it all went down. What a fucking moron.
Horrible person.
And so basically this situation happens where a teenager throws an egg at him, and then people hold him down, and the senator punched him and stuff like that. And it spread all over the internet, but people were claiming this child's a hero for doing this. There was even some people from Turkey that were saying that they would give him they'd let him live with them for 10 days in a 5-star hotel and praise him and stuff like that. The left is saying that this kid's a hero, okay? This is where I see an issue in it, because, yeah, look, what he said was disgusting, and the whole point of having freedom of speech is that I can rebuke your stupid points and discuss why you're wrong, okay? But bringing violence into a situation is when things get completely out of control. Maybe it's just an egg that happened, okay? It's not physical, it was a hit and a punch, you know what I mean? This is how bad ideas circulate into bigger things, and where you actually see fascism turn into a real thing, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Attacking each other is never the answer.
It's never the answer.
Is never the answer. Look, the guy, to any reasonable person, Fraser Anning has just revealed himself as a moron, or maybe even worse, he is a hateful kind of person.
He's a hateful person.
He's a hateful person. He holds views which, you know, they're extreme.
Yes.
They paint an entire community one way.
Yes.
Which is totally incorrect. This is not how you whatever you're trying to achieve with society, whatever kind of peace or stability you're trying to achieve in society, this is not how you do it.
No, it's not.
It's not how you do it. But also, you know, getting in someone's face and throwing shit at them, you are not going to achieve anything. You're fanning the flames. And this is the theme for this whole segment, is that you fan the flames of division. He's getting what he wants, because this guy who we will not name, this shooter who we will not name, this is what he was aiming for.
Exactly. You know, he's written it in his manifesto that his whole point was to essentially divide. America was his main thing, but he was saying he wants to divide left and right politics, and also the issue of the Second Amendment, which is about having the right to bear arms, and divide on ideological, cultural, and racial lines. So this is the whole... This story, what we're talking about now, of egging, you have the left people saying, this guy's a hero, this kid for doing this. You have ultra-right people praising this guy for what he's saying, right? So essentially you have both sides causing this division, which is completely the wrong idea. We need to unify about what's going on.
It's also how we're interpreting this event, and you know, everyone has to build their own narrative of to explain horrible things to themselves. And one of the things is, you know, the shooter said just before he started shooting, subscribe to PewDiePie, which is one of the biggest internet memes out there right in the world. It's just a huge internet meme. And now,
PewDiePie is just to clarify, PewDiePie has become more right-leaning over the last 12 months.
That's true, but you know, he's generally not a political person.
He's not.
He's sort of he's just anti-bullshit, right?
He's anti-news and corporate interests, let's say.
But let's not forget his main role or his main job is entertaining and making people laugh. He's a comedian. He's just a comedian, and there's nothing that he's ever said is hateful. He's the most anti-hateful person I've ever seen, right? He's a really peaceful guy. But because he said subscribe to PewDiePie, some people are so willing to believe that somehow what PewDiePie says has inspired these. Somehow they're willing to attribute or draw a dotted line between PewDiePie and the shooter. You know, they're saying that it's the same thing as these Nazi scandals have caused this. Some people are out there blaming Trump. They're saying Trump has done this. They go, this is New Zealand, guys. You know,
he has a manifesto, guys. I'm not saying go read it, but the whole point is what they're doing, creating division. Like, this is exactly
and
what
Facebook has been blowing up from people of the Islamic community, talking about how, see, when a Christian guy does this, it's not seen as a terrorist attack.
It's a terrorist attack.
It is a terrorist attack.
It's 100%.
100%. It fits the entire Oxford Dictionary definition of a terrorist attack. It's trying to achieve, you know, a political or ideological aim. And he's mainly attacking... Well, he only attacks civilians. That's a terrorist attack. But let's not forget, guys, this guy's not a Christian, right? And he doesn't call himself a conservative.
He's an eco-fascist.
He's an eco-fascist, All right, and and he somehow but closely identifies with the Chinese government in terms of this his closest ideological parallel. I don't know. I don't understand that. But look, the guy's inconsistent. All he wanted was to divide us. People out there are behaving exactly how he wants them to.
This is what the climate's been over the last since it happened.
So besides the fact that there's this mass death, which has already affected me quite a lot, the way people are dividing themselves further, it's had me a little bit emotional, to be honest. I've been feeling a bit shaky about it. Like, the world community is in a far worse state because of what he's done, and I resent this person even more because of that. On top of the atrocity, absolute atrocity of it.
We're going 30 steps back, and stuff like this happens. Exactly. We're not moving together towards, sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, coming together, actually unifying, and as cheesy as it might sound, it's actually what we need right now. We need people to have conversing, we need to have discussions, people need to get along, what I mean? Not play into what this all is.
Exactly.
And part of the media is an issue of that too, if you're going to prop things up and glamorize what he's doing. It's literally he wrote out a plan on how can I start getting people, as dumb as he is, to start getting divided about stuff. He even mentions Candace Owens, who's a conservative African-American woman in the States. What did she say? What did she say about him? Or what did he say about her? Sorry, wasn't he saying that?
Well, he said even her views are too extreme for mine.
Yeah,
which is side. It's dude, what?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
The guy doesn't make sense in most of his 74 page manifesto,
and that's why I said the PewDiePie thing as well. Because just trying to get people to divide. So we need to unify and need to.
Let's just be unified in condemnation
of this guy.
This guy, but let's not name him. Let's give him. Try to give him less exposure, less notoriety than he deserves, or that he wants. Sorry, not deserves. That he wants, or that he thinks he deserves.
Yeah.
I'm speechless, but yeah,
it's just disgusting, and it's an Australian man. And then these guys that are popping up all this other stupid stuff. This stupid senator man, they're Australian as well. So it's just really, poor taste.
What worries me is that.
Really poor taste, especially because we're a multicultural society, man.
And the way social media works, the way it's all blown up, the whole live stream culture, because he live streamed the entire attack.
Yeah, this is another part of it too.
I think we're all scrambling to try and say, how do we deal with this to give it less exposure than it should? I think he's already inspired something. I think the seed of this act has been planted in some people's minds already.
You're exactly right.
I mean, the way it was filmed, the way he streamed it, the way it's spread, it's gone viral. I'm worried, and then I've seen stuff on Twitter about certain people from the more extreme end of the Islamic community saying, "Hey, revenge is coming," and I'm like, "Oh my God, no, please no."
No, I hope not.
But
the video itself it looks, and I say this in the most respectful way, it looks like a video game. It's disgusting.
Yeah, he's GoPro'd it. He's got a helmet cam, first person.
It's disgusting. And the thing is, if you we look at where the whole culture of mass shootings or terrorist attacks come from, let's look back to 20 years of Columbine shooting. It's two kids shooting up a school, and then we move on to people leaving Twitters and Facebooks and YouTube pages before they die, so there's different things they can pass on. And then we move on to now where someone's live streaming an actual mass murder or mass terrorist attack, I should say. This is only bad. This is even more bad because people look at this and go, "Oh wow, I'm going to do this now," because they're disenfranchised with our own society or life or what's going on for them.
Exactly, and it gives people a window into the darkest darkness. I mean, there's a lot out there on the internet if you want. You got those ISIS videos, you got those cartel videos. The darkest things can be found on footage now, and it's just sort of a window into the true darkest heart of humanity.
It is.
But also it can really, so for some people they can see that and remind themselves of what exists out there and why it's so important to hold on to the good things and go, we got to be real with ourselves about what's going on out there.
Yes.
But on the other hand, there's some people looking at that and going, wow, what if I did that? What if I got a fucking GoPro?
And this guy hung around 8chan. He was a constant meme.
Yeah, he was very much a
troll.
I hate labels, but he's very much an alt-right kind of guy.
He is an alt-right troll guy.
Even
though he's not a Christian, typical conservative Christian, he's an eco-fascist.
Yeah.
He's in that realm.
It's just,
unfortunately,
it's horrible, and it's thoughts of it have dominated the weekend for me.
Yeah, it's been a very somber week because of that. And look, it's not to take away committing of terrorism or violence that happen around the world, but because we live in Australia and New Zealand, I was in New Zealand 3 months ago, 4 months ago, exactly where it was, Christchurch, and it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. New Zealand looks like an actual movie. It's one of those places where you look at it and you go, wow, this is actually real. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It essentially just looks just like Postcard, or you see what actually shot the Hobbit movie and Lord of the Rings and stuff there.
It's a beautiful natural beauty.
And the people,
it's postcard country.
Yeah, it's postcard country, man. The people are beautiful, so I just couldn't. Yeah, it just completely shocked us. So yeah, look, we want to give some reverence to the victims and the families, and look,
I am praying for them. I'm praying for them. I'm just sorry for everything that's happened there. I'm just so sorry to hear these things. I'm sorry for what it's doing to the community, how it's hurt. It's hurt our ability to unify, to identify with each other as citizens of Australia or as New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's a damage to people who just want to live in peace. Some people have come a long way. My family's come a long way to live in peace here. So hearts go out to the victims, the families of the victims.
Yeah.
I hope everyone takes a moment to just think about the nature of humanity and how dark we can be.
Yeah. I think, exactly what you're saying, Eric. And, I think we should all just take a moment just to remember, how can we get along and move forward as a human race, rather than get stoked up by left, right, center, whatever it is, whatever your side is. Exactly. How can we just be a team together?
The more we unify, the less that people like him get what they want, the less they get.
Exactly.
That's what we're trying to, the message I'm just trying to get out there.
Yeah. All right, guys.
So in lighter news.
Yeah, so in some lighter news, moving on now to the Ultimate fucking Championship breakdown.
UFC
breakdown. That's our high quality graphics in our high recording studio we got here.
Yeah, exactly.
Studio.
So we're just trying to make you smile out there, guys. Let's just have a shakeout.
Let's have a shakeout here. It's a shakeout here.
Yeah.
So this is the UFC rundown. So first topic I got here is Conor McGregor. Where's me fucking potatoes? Where's me potatoes?
So what's happening with McGregor? You tell me.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's happening with McGregor. So Conor McGregor, this week, some big news. He's moved to Miami, and
nice.
He's living it up.
I'm in Miami, bitch.
He's doing cocaine off strippers and drinking his proper 12 whiskey. And basically, it was 5 a.m. in one of the most popular clubs in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
He was strolling around, and then there was a man that came up to him and was talking to him about the Khabib fight.
Yep.
And taking his phone out. So Conor McGregor went up to him and apparently pretended to shake his hand, grabbed his phone, smashed it on the ground a bunch of times, and then stole his phone and walked off.
Well, look, there's worse things to get arrested for. I mean, Mike Tyson used to just put someone in hospital at a club, some bouncer would staunch up to him back, and then Mike Tyson would just put him into hospital with one hit, and you'd be like,
there was a guy, dude. There was a guy in Australia. Do you remember the Mike Tyson incident in Australia?
No, what happened there?
Mike Tyson incident in Australia was Mike Tyson was driving a Ferrari.
Yeah.
A rented Ferrari in Australia. Someone ran at the back of him, and they got out of the car, and this guy started staunching Mike Tyson and kicked him in the balls. So Mike Tyson just punched him once and knocked him out.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, look, list of worst decisions you can make in your life is staunching up to Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I remember hearing the story. It was a 6-year-old dude who was a featherweight champion in Australia, and two dudes invaded his house to try and rob him. Think it's just some old man. What you don't realize is if you don't know what you're doing and you're up against a trained boxer, I mean, you're gonna get starched, man. Like that. It's all technique, using the body weight, just nailed him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mike Tyson, don't staunch Mike Tyson.
Don't stalk Mike Tyson.
No.
Don't.
Even today, I've seen him do little exhibition matches, and he accidentally knocks people out. It's not even on purpose. He's just throwing punches.
There's footage of him on Twitter just showing technique, and he's still got the same speed and power, man. Yeah, it is scary.
He's still got it.
He's 50 years old, dude.
He's a beast, man.
What can I
Just
say?
crazy.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy, man. Just crazy. I was this 19-year-old boxer. Yeah, I bought a tiger. And I'm a champion. I was on acid. It's just crazy, man. Just crazy. Oh, man. All right, well, moving on. The main man, Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, so this one's a bit of an interesting story as well. So Tony Ferguson, he essentially used to be the UFC interim lightweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
So the story on him is that he's been given a restraining order against him by his wife for alleged domestic violence.
Yeah.
Because of Tony Ferguson's mental health. So
yeah, and to put into some detail, let's just go into some of these incidents. On February the 5th, Christina Ferguson claimed her husband had stayed up all night and woken up to them to demand they leave because the lunar eclipse would cause a flood. He purchased a life raft and drove them 111 miles from their home to Palm Desert, California. In the midst of the episode, he agreed to medical treatment, but later refused. On February 12th, Christina Ferguson alleged Tony had a psychotic break and screamed at her, believing her to be someone else. She woke up later to Tony standing overhead accusing her of being a witch. She later told police he kept throwing holy water at her and refused to go to hospital for an evaluation. It's like, my wife is a witch. You must be purified. Well, it just makes me think, where the fuck did he get holy water out in the middle?
I don't know, man.
Like,
Well, he thought his son was the second coming of Jesus Christ as well.
oh, man. And on February 19th, Christina Ferguson's declaration obtained by MMAfighting.com claims Ferguson tore up the fireplace because he thought there was a hidden doorway under it. I mean,
And he thought he had a computer chip in his leg.
oh, man, I can tell you that the problem is that's what happens when you spend a whole career taking blows to the head, man. I mean, fucking hell, dude.
Well, it's taking blows to the head, but it's also spending a lot of time with Eddie Bravo, man. The guy believes the Earth's flat.
That's right. I remember on a recent, when he was on the Alex Jones podcast, it was just like, I'm telling you, man, they have never put a camera on the shuttle to go up to the ISS. If they would just put a camera and prove it, then I would believe it. But I haven't seen it. It's just like, dude, like, you just got to do some research. But, I mean, on a side note, the flat Earth thing, the whole point is like challenging people's critical thinking, because even though a lot of people intuitively know this not to be the case because of been what they taught, a lot of people haven't sorted the facts out for themselves scientifically as to why the Earth is round. Like, I believe the Earth is round based on the things that I know. How does GPS work? How does the alignment with the stars work? How would the orbit around the sun work? How would sunrise and sundown work? All these things you got to think about. People do take certain beliefs for granted, even though the science is pretty well established. I mean, it's pretty fucking obvious the Earth is round, right? I mean, modern astronomy wouldn't work if the Earth wasn't round. But it does highlight the idea that, well, prove it for yourself first.
Exactly. And
it's just that some people have, the person, I mean, whoever it is that invented the whole Flat Earth Society, a lot of people are falling on the other side of this belief that you really shouldn't be, because the original intention is to make you think for yourself and understand it for yourself, not to actually wholeheartedly believe the Earth is flat. Idiot.
Yeah, he's an idiot. But it's look, it's sad for Tony Ferguson, and we're making light of it because just because the story just sounds so far fetched. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, he's throwing holy water at his wife. He thinks she's a witch. He thinks it's a computer chip in his leg. And he's ripping by his fucking house. Like, it's fucked up. But it's
you can't write this shit,
But the thing is, this is what makes Tony Ferguson an amazing martial artist, man. His creativity. He's doing like Wing Chun in the cage, and his raw. He goes. You know, when he does his training camps. He goes to training camp was when you train for a fight, right? He goes up. He climbs up a mountain and then builds an entire gym, mats.
Oh, cages, that's right. Does an outdoor gym,
yeah. Sandbags, all the equipment needed. He builds it and then uses it for the entire camp. And then he comes back and he has a fight and he wins. He's one of the most creative guys ever. So I think it's a mix of him always being a little bit mentally unstable.
Exactly. He's had that vivid imagination. Prior sort of bit of instability there. Vivid imagination plus head hit after head hit.
Plus Eddie Bravo.
Smoking weed with Eddie Bravo.
Smoking weed with Eddie Bravo.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
It was flat, man.
You've never seen it. Have you ever seen it?
No, man. Never seen it yet.
That's the UFC rundown. That's pretty good. So I think it's time for a few Michael Jackson's secrets. So I don't know if you guys have watched it. I mean, I watched the first episode. Kane's watched both episodes.
Yes.
Of HBO's Leaving Neverland. Some shocking allegations.
Shocking revelations, man, about Michael Jackson.
So I thought I'd just, if you haven't watched it already, just it's two of his alleged victims giving a history, recollection of how they were abused and sort of seduced over time, how they were convinced to say Michael Jackson was innocent during all the time that Michael Jackson was alive, and now that Michael Jackson's passed away, they've come out and tried to sue the family or the family trust for damages for what is essentially a lifetime of abuse. It's pretty hard-hitting stuff. I mean, I'm on the fence about whether I believe them. That's a discussion we'll get into. But the first thing I'd like to say is that Michael Jackson actually released an official response.
Statement.
He did release an official statement.
I'd like to address this horrible HBO documentary about me. It's filled with lies and ignorance. I would never hurt children. I love sleeping with little boys, that's all. Just a grown man sleeping with a little boy. Of course I fucked them kids. Oh, it's so obvious. I was a good pedophile too, huh? I built a whole amusement park and a candy store, and I said, "Your kids like candy?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, we like it." I'm like, "Yeah, you like it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, tell your mom to get the fuck out of here." Then they did. I was like, "Oh shit." Did y'all notice I would sleep with little cute boys? Not little girls, not little ugly boys. Just cute little motherfucking tight ass boys. Well,
Fucking hell,
then to
man.
get back to heaven, I got in because I apologized right before I died. Damn the rules. Bye.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, it's so
shit.
fucked up.
Shout out to Carl Dunnigan on Twitter for doing that
Carl
impersonation.
Dunnigan.
That was so fucked up. Oh, man. That cracked me. I was laughing about that for about a week.
Oh man, it's so funny.
Oh, man.
So damn funny. Yeah, so
It's back to the documentary. What did you think of it?
So Michael Jackson's documentary, his
Secrets.
Leaving Neverland. What can I say? So this is a 2-part series. Let you know it's available free on 10play. You can check it out there, and I think in the States it's free as well. It's on HBO. It's a HBO documentary, so I'd recommend checking it out.
It's full of secrets.
What do I think about the documentary? So the first part of the documentary, I would say it's an hour and a half. It's like 3 hours long. The whole thing.
The whole thing is 3 hours. It's
so long.
It's pretty long, man.
First half of it, I thought, man, this is so gross. Like, whoa,
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
so disgusted.
Because, like, then I bent over, like, my anus was on display. I'd spread my cheeks. This is when he was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And then Michael Jackson leaned over and he stuck my tongue in his anus. I was like, whoa, bro.
I know. I literally was cringing and disgusted.
Dude, yeah. And I was like, oh, yuck. And then I was like eating a bowl of curry, like, oh, yuck.
I couldn't eat for that. I was eating and I stopped eating. There was no more eating after watching that part, bro. It's like, alright, there's no more eating now.
Well, look, all I could say was I couldn't eat any anus-shaped foods after that.
That's how you're disgusted. You're like, oh.
Oh, this is so
I
disgusting.
was eating a banana. I was like, no, the banana's going down. That's it. No more banana.
No more bananas, no more anus-shaped foods.
Oh, shit. Yeah, look, the first episode, I was like, wow, it's just so disgusting. And I was just like, wow, maybe Michael Jackson really is this disgusting. Like, you know, I kind of was leaning towards that he did it, but even more so after watching the first part. And then I watched the second part, and my position kind of shifted, you know. So what is weird about this, and I've got some experience in this as well in terms of, I've worked in social services at some point in my life, and I've also done investigations relating to child protection. So I do have experience in knowing about these aspects to give you a bit more information about that. But the second part of the documentary talks about these two people, right? So one of them specifically says he was abused when he was 7 to 13, right? And the first part of it, he gets so stories come out about Michael Jackson allegedly having sex with children and doing weird shit. So the police interview him, and he goes on camera with his family, and they're all saying, "There's no way Michael Jackson did everything. Nothing weird ever happened with him," right?
Mm-hmm.
Then so that all happens, it blows away, and then 10 years later, when he is the age of 15. There's another allegation comes out. And then he defends Michael Jackson again, saying nothing ever happened. His family defends him, everything else like that, right? Then the third thing that happens is that this allegation happens again, but now it's a criminal trial. It's a criminal trial against Michael Jackson. It's in California.
Yeah.
It's a huge media circus. People are going nuts. It's basically Michael Jackson's whole life is on the line, right? And they call him up as a witness, and at this age, he was 23 years old.
Okay.
And at 23 years old, he goes there and he says, guys, nothing ever happened. Michael Jackson, he always treated me right. This is all bullshit. So he defended him 3 times, and so did the other guy that's part of the documentary as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then Michael Jackson dies in 2009. He still comes out in support of Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 2012, he basically says that he, not that he has repressed memories, but after having a child and seeing it born in front of him, and it's his own child, he has all these thoughts going, oh my God, Michael Jackson abused me, I protected him all these years, now as a 33-year-old male, I'm going to come out against him and say all this stuff. And then he sued Michael Jackson for emotional abuse to get millions of dollars, and then they said that basically the law, his lawyers of his estate said, no, you can't do that, based on all the evidence you've given, because he's given evidence in a sworn trial under oath.
That's right.
And then now he's changed his story and said this is
suddenly he's changed his tune. And I mean, a lot of people are
and he's dead.
A lot of people are cynical to this. People I've spoken to are saying, well, how could he go all these years saying this and just change his mind now that he's dead and he's just trying to get some money out of him? Or maybe their careers aren't going as good as they used to. I mean, one of them, what's the Australian guy's name?
Wade Robson.
Wade Robson.
He's Australian too.
He's Australian. Well, he's a famous choreographer now. He's got
Yeah.
a pretty distinguished career as a choreographer. I mean, his career's doing pretty
Yeah.
good. I don't think that's valid. And one of the odd things as well is that 5 of the kids that have spent time with Michael Jackson have accused him over the course of his career. That's 5. That's a lot. So do I think he's guilty? I mean, I kind of do. But have they left it too late? How should the legal system work is what I'm about to bring up here.
Two of them have later found out. Of those 5, they said, oh yeah, we made it up.
Okay, so 2 have actually recanted.
That's at least 2 of them.
Okay.
Another one died. He was a cancer patient. That's 3. The other 2, I don't know. It might even be these 2 that are the people. And then we look at other people that's celebrities. So, for example, what's his name? Macaulay Culkin. He came out and support,
and he's never changed his tune.
And
from day one.
He spent a lot of time with Michael Jackson, man. There's another guy. He was from the Goonies. I can't remember his name right now. Corey Feldman. Maybe think it's Corey Feldman.
Yep.
He has actually people in the Hollywood industry have sexually abused him. So he's been a victim of pedophilia.
Yeah.
He's always come out in support of Michael Jackson. He spent a lot of time with him. This is a guy that's come out recently a lot. His whole life's been ruined.
So he's
by
accused
sexual
other
abuse.
people. He's accused other people, and he's even saying
he
that
said Michael Jackson never did anything.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I used to believe when he was alive, is that, look, he's a really strange guy. He's a guy who missed out on his childhood, and that's why he built all these monuments to childhood. The Neverland Ranch, having candy, having his own candy store, and it could be that he used to strike up friendships with all these young kids so that he could try and recapture or relive a childhood, or live a childhood he never really actually had. And I used to believe that, and I got a bit... because he's a weird guy, and maybe that's one of the things. He's just a weird guy, and people are more likely to believe this hearsay based on, the fact that he was really weird looking.
Yeah.
He had really strange behavior.
He looks kind of like a demon at the end of it, really.
Yeah, he does.
Bad?
Yeah.
Eventually he turned into the monster in Bad.
And, because, when you got a fucked up face, man, people think you can do fucked up things.
I think that's the other part too, you know what I mean? He's just like smiling clown. Black guy that will turn white.
And when you have such a light voice as a man, it's something like an uncanny valley for people. Like, you're like, it's weird.
This is weird.
Like, yeah, it's nothing wrong. We're having these kids in my bed, and, we feed them milk and cookies, and we just have cotton candy, we ride the roller coasters,
And you're like, dude, this guy's fucked, man. I don't trust this
And then I
motherfucker.
tell the mom to fuck off.
and then I said, get your mama to fuck off, and then they did. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Yeah, all those things really play up, man, as to like it's a really, I don't know. It's such a question mark.
I read something, about how there's different forms of sexual abuse, and there's the forceful abuse, which is really obvious when a kid's been violently abused, and there's the seductive abuse, which is why a lot of kids defend their abuser. They help them cover up, and they don't believe that what's happening to them is wrong yet. They've been manipulated. I mean, this is why we have laws on what is underage sex or what is underage relationships, because when you're not fully formed, when your mind, you're not mature enough, you can easily be convinced that what's happening to you is not wrong at all. And you've seen that in history. The ancient Greeks used to convince kids that it's totally okay for your teacher to do you in the bumhole.
And they said pedestry was normal.
Exactly.
Pedestry, yeah.
It actually happened in feudal Japan as well. The samurai did it to their students. It's like, I'm going to teach you how to unsheathe the sword as long as you unsheathe my flesh sword. But yeah, pedestry is this thing that keeps popping up, and you know it comes back to that. You let people try to dictate to you what's okay. A kid doesn't know better, right? And that's why you need to protect kids from this kind of shit.
And yeah, and it's coming into the legalities of how it all plays out. So this is where it gets murky, okay? So I can tell you from a perspective of Child Protective Services and how it all sort of plays out, that victims of pedophilia, they don't know that they're victims of pedophilia for the first thing, okay? You've got a child that has a blank slate on like their sexual experience. They don't know anything. They think that this might be normal, a normal thing that actually occurs.
That's right.
They've never seen pornography before. They've never seen any of these influences. So grooming is the first part of this. And the way that the documentary presents this makes it sound quite realistic. So this is what makes me lean onto the side of possibly he did it, because my experience is that pedophilia, people that are sexual deviants, they groom. So the children got all the toys they wanted. They got all the candy they wanted. They got all the rides they wanted. They got everything else they wanted, right?
Here's one thing that I saw. I saw a video that surfaced recently. It was a CCTV footage of a jewelry store where Michael Jackson was in a full disguise. He was wearing like a mustache and glasses, and he was taking a kid. This is Wade Robson, I believe.
Yeah.
And the story holds true. He was pretending he was buying a wedding ring for a woman,
and he was sizing it on his fingers.
Yeah, and it actually was a wedding ring he bought for a kid. Now that strikes me as really, really strange.
It's really strange.
And you never know. It could be like, this is conspiracy theory, but it could be a misdirection where some kids he purposely just had a normal friendship with, and some kids he reserved
exactly
dirty, dark sex.
But it could be. It could very well be. You're right.
Yeah.
And with the grooming aspect, the children are being groomed, but also the families. So in the documentary, you know, you've got these people, just regular people from Queensland and Australia. Next thing you know, they know Michael Jackson. Next thing you know, Michael Jackson flies them all over to the States, puts them up in homes, gives them everything they always wanted, chauffeured around, expensive meals, dinners, everything else like that. They literally are starstruck by Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson could potentially basically give them. He's grooming
launch their careers.
He's grooming their careers, yeah.
And this is part of it. This is really similar to R. Kelly. Like he really did launch their careers. R. Kelly really did help the careers out of some of the women who accused him, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you feel like both is true. Like he was genuinely helping them, but he was also seducing them that way for abuse. So I mean,
that's the grooming.
There's evidence there. There's evidence to suggest this could be real. But my takeaway from it all, though, at the end of the day, is that look, this is a story that's been told to us. That's what it is. At the end of the day, that's it. That's all we've got is a story.
Yeah.
And so, as viewers, as the audience, we can make our own decision. But does that hold weight in court? No.
Yeah, but I'll counter to what you're saying as well. Yeah. So, because these children are potential victims of pedophilia and screwed up stuff sexually, right? What happens is that accusers or sexualized people, what do you call them? The person that's committing the issue here, right? Their whole thing is to sow insecurity and doubt in the victim. So it's like, oh, we could call, say for example, they're going to have sex. They go, oh, let's call this playtime. And this isn't, I'll label this thing between my legs, not as a penis, but call it the play stick or whatever, right? So they use different code names in order to trick them into certain things that happen. And what happens is the children, when they get interviewed by police, they go, oh, look, we're just playing. They'll use all these different code words rather than what happens. Now, from a legal perspective, what happens is that the defense lawyers will do in court, it's like, did he touch you on the penis? And he goes, oh no, we called it the play stick. And they'll use this narrative, and then the lawyer will use that to say, well, actually, he didn't even use the words here. He was confused. He said about these different things. So that narrative becomes what it is. And this is the problem with pedophiles. They entrench themselves as police officers. They entrench themselves as churchgoers. They put themselves in the positions to have access to children.
They are drawn to positions of authority and responsibility over innocent
Exactly.
young kids.
And let me just say a story. So this is one of the stories we learnt about in my time working with this sort of field, right? So there was a famous case in Queensland, I believe it was, or it was New South Wales. So it was this lawyer, and basically this kid went to school one day and said, "Oh, not Michael Jackson, Mickey Mouse sleeps with me every night." And they said, "What do you mean Mickey Mouse sleeps?" His teacher said to him, "Oh, Mickey Mouse comes to my room and then he puts his funny thing inside my wee and has sex with me." And the teacher's like, "Whoa, this is crazy. This is really weird." So then what they did was they contacted the Child Protection Services, and the Child Protection Services contacted the police. And what they've conducted from the story is they worked out that it was the dad. And what was happening was the dad was dressing up at night with a Mickey Mouse. What he would do is wait for the child to go to sleep, put a Mickey Mouse mask on his face, slip into the room and have sex with the child and come out. So what he was doing was saying, if he basically said, "Oh, this never happened," right?
Yeah.
But what they did was the police drove the house first, went to the home, found the Mickey Mouse mask, swabbed it for DNA, and then used that to go against him and get him convicted. But he was using that as a way around it, you know what I mean? Because the child's perspective is like, oh, it's just all an imagined experience that's going on.
That's true, yeah. I get what they're doing there.
You see what I'm saying?
It's a very dark, predatory thing.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if you've got a child, it's like got an amazing imagination, right? Like this story, for example, they're using that aspect in order to groom and confuse the child. And do you know what the scary fact is?
What?
Out of child sex convictions, right? Someone accuses someone. How likely do you think a conviction is? Percentage-wise, just guess.
Well, I think based on the fact is maybe 50% of them.
It's like 10%.
10%.
Yeah, it's like 10% because
I think one of the things is it's because it's so clear that in so many of these accusations, there's not enough evidence there. Even though your gut feeling is, this I think this happened. Like your gut feeling is this happened.
Yes.
There's just rarely ever enough evidence to support it, and that's the problem. Now back to your story though. If someone in a Mickey Mouse mask showed up in the middle of the night when I was a kid, I'd be fucking terrified. I'd be like, ah! I'd be fucking screaming, man. Yeah, like your mother would be running into the room like, what's going on? Because I'd be like, what the fuck? Bro, I just saw Mickey Mouse mask standing over in the middle of the night. I'd be fucking terrified. That sounds terrifying, dude.
Yeah, it is pretty creepy.
I might be like, oh yeah, you can go to bed. I'm like, yo, man, what the fuck is going on, dude? Oh shit. But then I guess because I watched Stephen King's It when I was in the first grade, so I already had an aversion to any sort of childlike imagery. Like clowns used to freak me.
Oh, dude, clowns are freaky as shit.
When I was a kid, my dad took me to he took me and my brother to the Moscow Circus.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Moscow Circus is fucking cool, man. Like, they're so talented. You know, the fucking, what do you call them? The gymnasts or the acrobats.
So it's just a traveling circus. That's what it is, right?
But it's a really big, famous one.
Yeah.
But whenever the clowns came out, I was like, bro, I'm not enjoying this. I was like, I'm not enjoying this.
They're freaky, man.
They're freaky, man. Clowns are fucking freaky. You gotta be fucked in the head if you think they're cool, man.
That's what Michael Jackson looked like, a clown as well. That's what's
He
scary.
had the clown look. You know what? He had done enough surgery on his face that it had just become uncanny valley. His face had become so unreal that you just instinctively feel an aversion to it. Like, this is an imposter of a human.
Yes. And here's one other thing as well, just to tie up these stories as well. It's finally on the legality aspect of it, because I think it's quite interesting to bring up. So another thing that has happened as well, and they've actually used it as a defense. So there was like a sexualized case, I think it was in Norway, and it was these kids that were allegedly being sexually abused. What happened was the police were trying to get information on this guy to see if he did it, but then they went to like a child and said, oh, you're sexually, you know, they played on his imagination. They were talking about also, you know, do you know this person? And there's like, yep. And like, did they sexually abuse you? It's like, yep. So the child was just saying yes to all the questions. So they've actually pushed in a narrative to the child's mind, and the child's going, oh yeah, these things happen.
Yes,
so they've used that as a defense. So pedophiles use that story as a defense legally, and that's how they get away with a lot of things that happen to them as well. So it's such a murky thing, and this is why it's so hard when someone goes, no, nothing ever happened, and then when they're 30, actually, you know what, it did happen.
And
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you just don't know what to believe, and you don't know what to think, and well, it comes back to, you know, that saying, like, would you rather let 100 guilty men go free than an innocent man get convicted? Or would you rather 100 innocent men get convicted so that one guilty guy doesn't get away with it? You know, like, some people have a different view of this. Like, what's your view on this belief? It comes like this whole Me Too thing that's coming out as well. Dude. It's like, dude, look, the legal system's not perfect. The justice system's not perfect. But it is the way it is because we don't want innocent people to go away either. There has to be proof, and unfortunately there's not always proof for something that your gut feeling tells you happened.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That is the problem, and I don't know what to think. I don't have an answer on it or anything. That's just my observation that this is tough. We don't know what to think. They've come out so much later in their lives with this accusation against Michael Jackson, or whenever it happens. What do we think? Like, you know, in the news recently, Cardinal Pell got convicted, and to me the story's pretty shaky. I've read the story. I go, there's no proof, nothing, just a witness, like just a victim testimony from a couple decades back. And in my opinion, he got convicted purely because of bias against Catholics. Everyone's so quick to believe that it's possible.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's guilty. Like, I really don't know. It's such a shaky story.
It's
like,
hard,
straight after
man.
Mass, he just found them playing with the wine at the back of one of the rooms.
Then
he abused them while people were still exiting the church. I'm like, it doesn't ring true to me. That being said, even if it did ring true to me, is that proof alone? Is one accusation proof enough alone to convict somebody? Because if we live in a society where one victim story is enough, there's a lot of innocent people going to go to jail. And I don't know. I don't have the answer. That's just my observation.
Yeah, it's really tough. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I can't really sum up where we're going with this thing with Michael Jackson, but
it just comes back to it's funny this has come about around the same time with the R. Kelly, the whole R. Kelly case. You know,
it's a symptom of the Me Too generation, right?
It is. You know, just I don't know. I don't have the answer though. I'm not going to definitively say on one side of this or the other whether we. I mean, I'm leaning against you shouldn't just believe and convict people. You know, I mean, definitely that.
No.
You know, but what about the injustice that happens as a result of that?
But we listen to what victims say, and we give them the platform to say what they want to say. And
we can make our own belief as citizens or as the audience. We can have our own belief. Like, if I'm convinced if Michael Jackson were alive, or say with R. Kelly, if I'm convinced of the story, well, that's up to me.
It is.
A court decision has nothing to do with me. I can choose not to buy his shit if my gut feeling is that he did this. It's up to everyone to decide for themselves.
I have seen a lot of people come out and they say, like, oh, Michael Jackson's evil person. A lot of, like, talking heads is like decrying who he is and everything else like that. It's like, well, it's really hard, man. I don't know if you can really come up with a strong position on this one, man. There's not enough. Oh, you know what? One thing that was a little bit creepy, though, was he did have bells wired to his room. So if someone would creep up to his room, it would alert a bell on his room.
Oh, that's quite strange.
That one part I was like...
Not proof of pedophilia, but strange. Really sus. It's sus. There's a lot of sus things, yeah.
And one final thing, it's really interesting. Joe Rogan brought up his podcast. He said that Michael Jackson's doctor said that he was chemically castrated by the time he was 13 to preserve his singing voice.
And that means that his libido would be hugely reduced. His sex drive would be reduced.
So it would kind of play into the credence that maybe he's never even gone through puberty, and maybe he does. Maybe he's just a child.
But chemical castration doesn't mean you don't have a penis. You're not completely incapable of
of course
erection or whatever. Yeah, man. Look, it's hard to really say. I think what I'm thinking these days about it is, irrespective of what I believe, it's like, what should the world do, or what should the court do, or is there enough evidence there?
He's dead.
He's dead, though. That's another thing that makes it so complicated. The guy's gone already.
We're talking about burying up his body and getting DNA samples from his dead body.
It's like, what use is that going to have? What productive...
Because they're saying there's more accusers now stepping forward.
Oh, God. I mean, it does kind of... The cynical side of me thinks there's a lot of vultures coming out for his estate. That's about it. Well, guys, just watch the documentary for yourself and make it.
Make up your own mind.
Make up your mind. That's the thing.
I think that's the whole point of what we're trying to say here is don't just listen and believe to everything, because you should have critical analysis.
Exactly.
And you don't just be one of those people that looks at it from one side or the other side.
Make up your own mind.
Yeah.
That is the key takeaway from this, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to know either way. We're never going to really know, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right.
That sucks because we're so used to closure, the way movies work and everything else.
Yeah.
We used to case
closed.
And they all lived happily ever after, except for those that got fucked in the ass. Case closed. Oh, shit. And on that note, we do have an inside source from the Northern Territory Police, codename Wiggins.
Inside news.
Inside news.
Inside you. Secrets.
Secrets.
Inside you.
So can you take it away? You have a more close line with our inside
Yeah.
police source.
So I've got a police source. His name is Constable Wiggins from Northern Territory Police. And he's been communicating with me via some direct lines to tell me about what's been going on in his life lately. So
Dark web channels.
Dark web channels.
Onion router.
So this is stuff that you usually don't really get to hear about. So I thought it would be quite interesting to bring up on our podcast. So basically, he attended a suicide recently. It was a guy in his 40s who was a comedian that didn't particularly make it. Apparently, this guy was actually doing quite well as a comedian as well, right? And he committed suicide. So my friend
Wasn't autoerotic asphyxiation, was it?
no, it wasn't. No. This is a regular suicide.
Okay.
Yeah. So a regular suicide. He turns up there because the police get called and they have to turn up and basically survey what's going on. And it gets investigated by detectives to work out if it's foul play or whatever happens with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he turns up there and there's a dead guy hanging on his knees. So with a rope around his neck.
Well, that's fucked up. That would have been a slow death then.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of part of the whole confronting thing. You turn up, you see the body, and so Constable Wiggins is like, oh, this is disgusting and sad, And then the CSI guys turn up. You know, remember watch the show CSI? It's these
real serious,
cool, really slick people. Case of death, murder. You know what I mean? They know exactly everything that's going on.
Looks like we've just found the hidden link.
Yeah! You know what I mean? You think they're these cool, slick guys, they know exactly what's going on. Yeah, it turns out they're a bunch of fucking creepy cunts. You know what I mean?
Well, that doesn't completely surprise you, actually. They're totally nonchalant.
Right, so there's these fucking fat cunts with glasses walking around, the cops turn up and it's oh man, this is fucking disgusting. This guy killed himself. And so the cops' job is they have to pry open the eyes of the dead people, pull their pants down, they want to shit themselves, prod this body around to help them take photos of it. And the CS and the people I know, the cops just just get disgusted by it and don't participate in it. So this CSI guys are oh, this is fine. Yeah, hold the angle. Yeah, great picture. Wow, that's awesome. It's how are you so entertained in this?
Oh,
it's so nonchalant about the whole process. Oh, it's a dead body. Oh, he shot himself. Oh, he's jerking off while he's dying. Oh, it's totally fine.
Putting on a latex glove and pulling down his pants oh, he's clearly shot himself. He's inspecting the stool sample.
No, seriously, that's what they're doing. They touch the body and go, oh, the body's cold. Yeah, he's been dead about 8 hours.
They pulls out a fucking chicken drumstick, starts eating, licking his fingers. So there's signs of insertion in the anus. Let me inspect that. So you gonna eat that chicken? Alright, let me have a piece of that.
Some KFC on the counter. I want to see that. I thought it was quite weird how basically, because something serious happened, the guy killed himself. There's a bunch of fucking forensic CSI guys just walking around like nothing happened, man. Just another day in the office,
Well, see, look, so for all the aspiring comics out there that feel like they're failing, if you kill yourself, a bunch of fat dudes are gonna be prodding your anus. So don't do it, alright? Reach out. If you feel that you're lost, reach out, because just remember, right? Constable Wiggins is going to be disgusted by you, and a fat CSI dude's going to probe your anus. So you don't want that, guys. Look, get help, right? There's Beyond Blue. There's places out there. If you think you'll kill yourself, just don't, man.
Don't do it.
Just don't do it, dude. There's more to live for, and you don't want to get probed in the anus.
One thing that's weird as well, there was a story that came out about people working in morgue. This is in Auburn or somewhere in New South Wales.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, there was these people working in a morgue that their job was to inspect bodies. But what they were doing was, there was two guys, and they used to have competitions about who could get a screwdriver and put it through the guy's chest the best.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So they were sitting around going, oh, I'll just try stabbing this guy. And the other person's I'll stab him more. And then someone found him what the fuck are you doing? These dead bodies. It was oh shit. And they got in big trouble, obviously. They got charged and stuff like that. I think there's a charge for actually playing with dead bodies. But
of course.
To be on that... To want to hang around dead bodies all day and being around this stuff, you'd be a particularly fucking weird person.
And this is the thing, though. It's
be a weird fuck.
This is the thing, though. These jobs are they're completely necessary to society. We need these people.
We need these people.
But they just... okay, we're painting everyone with a broad brush here.
We're not saying everyone, guys. We're just explaining what we're thinking.
It just seems pretty weird to me. It seems pretty, off balance. I don't know.
It's off balance.
Who would want to be around dead bodies all day? I don't know.
Hey, what do you do when you want to grow up? I want to play with dead people and prod their assholes.
I want to put on latex gloves and pull down their pants. Check for stool.
For stool.
Cause of death, a terrible fashion sense, and autoerotic asphyxiation. It was failed comic because he would wear like weird 80s fluoro shit or something like that. It's like, look at those creepy fluoro pants. Also, he shat himself.
Well, you know what's funny about this topic? So basically, I think he had an obsession with social media. Okay. So he had all these post-it notes scattered throughout his house. And it was like, oh, seek help. And one was, don't judge yourself for what you've done. Another one was, between the ages of 20 and 34, you haven't wasted your time. Another one was, post on Instagram every day. He had an active social media, Facebook, all that stuff. And he actually had a lot of people following him too. So I think it might we can't determine what happened. Apparently he had a split with his partner, and
that'll fuck you up.
He was married and something happened as well. So I think that was
good, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was a part of it, but it's also like, I think it really comes into this generation of blogging everything and seeing and comparing and stacking and not living up to your own expectations.
That's right. There's this guy, the founder of Minds.com, the social network. I just remember watching his Joe Rogan podcast, and he was saying Facebook have clear evidence. They've done huge studies on this, that social media makes you unhappy. Like, they know for a fact.
Absolutely, it does.
They know it for a fact. This makes you unhappy, and they don't give two shits about it. All they want to do is figure out the algorithms are the best ways to keep you on the platform, using it as much as possible, despite having studies that show they know this makes you unhappy. Social media makes people unhappy. Anybody who's been on it too much and everybody's just measuring dicks, man. I don't know. Like, it's just a way of measuring dicks. You show the best of yourself and nothing but the best. The best moments, nothing but the best. And it makes people unhappy.
You know what? I could see in the near future, a class action lawsuit against Facebook or these places, a bunch of people on Prozac, suiciding, killing themselves, ruining lives, going against the company saying, hey, you caused this shit.
Well, I don't know, man. To what extent can you really draw that dotted line to draw that line between the two? There's no proof that really shows it's causing a suicide. If someone commits suicide, you can't prove that a platform caused.
What about emotional distress? You're saying, you just said, right? Minds are saying, right, that they are determining how to algorithm it that way, right? Who's to say that they could prevent that from happening?
You'd have to have really, really definitive proof. Yeah. I just intuitively, I don't think there's a case there.
Yeah.
Even though we know about it, I think rather than look to the legal system, people know something makes you unhappy. Spread that news out there. Hey, maybe this isn't that healthy for you to use all the time, so people can start balancing their own lives. I
totally agree with you. I'm just saying, looking from an American perspective of, it might be a case that fails, completely falls flat in its face in 2 minutes, but you can imagine Americans going, hey man, you're right, yeah, let's bandwagon on this shit.
Very true. Yeah. Very true. Yeah, so hopefully we'll continue to get inside stories.
Secrets. Inside you.
From codename Constable Wiggins.
Constable Wiggins will give me that.
So thanks Wiggins.
Thanks
Appreciate
Wiggins.
It. You know who you are, fam.
Keep in the donuts.
Yeah. And keep prodding anuses. Okay, so the other thing, this was just some special interest news, really, especially if you care a lot about nutrition. A girl in
the UK. No, sorry, Scotland.
Scotland. Glasgow, Scotland. 12-year-old girl who was raised on a strict vegan diet was admitted to the Royal Hospital for sick children in Glasgow, Scotland, suffering from a severe form of rickets.
Mm-hmm.
The girl had already experienced multiple fractures and had been diagnosed with a degenerated spine comparable to that of an unhealthy 80-year-old woman.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that's clearly abuse. That's child abuse.
It is child abuse.
And I mean, how do you get a degenerated spine? Degenerate parents.
So it looks like you got a degenerative spine. Is that running the family?
To some extent it does, yes. Fucking hell, man. I mean, look, people were meant to eat meat. I mean, this is just clear. People were meant to eat meat. If this is a clear example, you cannot have a vegan diet when you're a kid. We actually have some family friends, personal story.
Well, you can be vegetarian and still get protein. I still think you can get enough essential nutrients as a vegetarian.
But you have to be more careful, and it's much more difficult.
Absolutely.
And a growing kid, there's better ways to do it. Look, milk. They need calcium, give them milk, all right? They need protein, give them meat. That's what you ought to do. You ought to think scientifically about what's best for your kids.
Exactly.
So I had some family friends who are vegetarian, and they decided, well, they're going to have kids, all right? They want to have kids. So what's the right thing to do? How can we get the right nutrients for our kids? temporarily while they were, conceiving, while during the pregnancy, they ate meat. They just had a full normal diet because they knew that this is not what a kid needs. This is nutrition. This is what a kid needs. And then raising them, they never forced their vegetarian belief on them. They told their kids as they're growing up, look, we're vegetarian because this is what we believe, but we fed you this because that's what we've been taught is healthy for you. And you can choose to do this later in life if you want. As an adult, you can make your own decision later, but we're not going to force what is essentially an ideological belief on you or an ethical belief on you. And look what's happened to this kid. The degenerative spine
of an 8-year-old.
That's fucked. And scientifically, if you're raised strictly vegan, this is what a doctor said. Dr. Faisal Ahmed is the pediatrician treating the child. If raised strictly vegan, the child would almost certainly have severe deficiencies of vitamins A and D, both of which are essential to bone nutrients that can only be obtained from animal products.
And it was also saying that essentially is lacking, the child would be potentially lacking the need of calcium, zinc, B12, other B vitamins, vitamin K, EPA, DHA, fatty acids, sulfur, and essential amino acids, you know what I mean? So this is basically everything. And this child had multiple bone fractures.
Multiple bone fractures, because the bones were just so weak, just doing normal things was just fucking her up. I mean, seriously, like hippie kids, man, hippie parents, man.
Yeah.
If we brought back the Roman era, man, we should just feed these people to the lions. It's like, you don't want to eat meat? You're going to be the meat.
You're going to be a meat stick.
You're going to be a meat stick. Yeah, you want to eat vegetables all day? Yeah. Feed them to the lions. Slaves, bring me the lions. It just reminded me of this episode of Futurama where there's this hippie who's like, we raised the first lion strictly vegan. This is fucking thin ass lion just going.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
it's full sick. It's like, and it's like sleeping the whole time.
And then later in the episode, they free the lion, and he's fucking eating the hippie. He's like, "This is not happening." And he's just getting eaten. Like, sucks shit, dude. So I mean, that wasn't the first case where vegans have been accused of child abuse, but it's the first one involving crippling bone damage. But a few examples of how fucked up this really is. In 1990, the FDA investigated after a 2-month-old girl in California was hospitalized with severe malnutrition. Her parents had fed her soy milk instead of soy formula. Because of this and a similar incident in Arkansas involving the Soy Moo brand of soy milk, the FDA issued a warning on June 13, 1990. Since then, most brands of soy milk, but not Eden soy, include warning labels and tiny print on their packages. So what actually happened to that kid?
So I don't know about that one specifically, but there's another one here. It says, in May 2007, vegan parents were found guilty of the death of their 6-month-old baby because the mother was substituting, instead of breast milk, soy milk and apple juice.
What the fuck is wrong with these people?
And the baby was only 3.5 pounds when he died, and he was 6 months old. Babies usually born, 9 pounds, 10 pounds.
These are pathetic parents.
Just friggin' idiots, dude.
And this is what happens when you have just this strange, skewed worldview. And this is where I think this is just a symptom of how, as a society, no matter what side of the political or social spectrum you're on, depending on certain topics, we've deviated away from real scientific thinking or real fact-based thinking. I think on certain topics, they can be scientific,
yes, or
they can be factual, and then some other topics that's just a total, just an ideological, wall. And with this whole vegan thing, they're so convinced that not eating animals is the way for either health or ethical reasons, but the science doesn't stack up.
No, it doesn't stack up. And essentially, when we're playing with children's lives, and
exactly.
Health.
Look, you can fuck yourself up. You're an adult. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But when you have a kid, you need to read real books. You need to read real nutritional guides, or just do what other people have done that works.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
This is what have worked for children. Now, if you read solid, convincing evidence otherwise, then you can adjust that method. But for now, you never break what is already working for us.
That's my question. So why did, since the dawn of us, creating fire, the fuel system, civilization, will we go away from the methods of creating nutrients and food to live our lives and live healthy and prosperous?
That's why I like it. You read things about the paleo diet, and it kind of seems pretty stupid to me because a lot of the foods that existed back then don't exist now. All of our food, fruits, vegetables, and grains, they're all domesticated, and they have entirely different nutritional properties than what they used to. But there is some logic behind it, though, because the idea was that, look, our hunter-gatherer forefathers or ancestors were in really great physical shape.
Yep.
You know, they find that the teeth wasn't that fucked up.
Yep.
Our teeth only started getting fucked up when we started farming.
Yes.
So in our hunter-gatherer era, something in their food
Yeah.
was keeping their teeth healthy.
Yeah. And Eric,
Yes.
I can say, like, I am a proponent of the paleo diet.
Yeah.
I eat a paleo diet, but with a more high fat content because I eat low carb.
Mhm.
I'm in the best health I've ever been. You know, I have autoimmune issues, and I have barely any of the problems I have on a traditional Western diet. You know what I mean, with grains and stuff like that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you know, the other thing that comes to my mind is like, how can these vegans really be vegan? Because I mean, these fags are like eating meat dick all day. It's not very vegan. Guys, tube steak is not vegan.
Tube steak isn't vegan. That's true.
So you know, you can't suck dick all day. Just joking. I love you, all you fags out there. I love
I
you.
was joking.
I love you guys. Yeah.
One thing I will say as well is there was an Australian story about this in the media over the last, probably about a year ago now.
Mhm.
That was really interesting.
Yep.
And essentially this person, there was this child that was vegan and the parents were big vegan proponents, and Child Protection Services got involved and removed the child based on the nutrition that was going on.
Yep.
The parents went on Facebook, made this big plea saying the government's doing them wrong and
Mhm.
they're just hurting us, and you just want to live our own lives, and they're just hurting us. And then all these people were in support of them. All these Australians were in support of them. It's like, guys, I don't think you need... Okay, I think the problem is they haven't understood what's happening. This child was severely underweight, had all these health problems, but they're just thinking, oh no, this is not letting them be the way they want to be and raise their child. It's like, no, this is actually child abuse, guys. It's actually teeters on child abuse.
It's child abuse. Look, can some of these people just read a book? What does the human body need? And feed your kid that, please. And if you can't do that, don't have fucking kids, man.
Yeah.
Look, just keep swallowing, alright? That's all you gotta do, alright? I know you guys like to swallow out there. So.
Yeah, that's fine. Just stick with that. Stick with that, guys.
Oh, that's sad. The world's full of it's a tragic world. You know, you can't help but laugh. I only laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah, that's so true. That's very true.
So, last thing on the rundown of the agenda was
Rick James, bitch.
Rick James. So, one of the greatest OG comedians, probably one of the greatest comedians of all time, Dave Chappelle. You all know him. You all know him. He was on John Mayer's live stream, and they were talking about he was meeting Daniel Caesar for the first time.
Daniel Caesar's on the live stream, but he's not in the video.
So I've only just heard of Daniel Caesar, but I mean, I've heard one of his songs without knowing it was him.
We played him with the intro.
He's fucking brilliant.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's fucking brilliant.
He is good.
So anyway, Dave Chappelle just goes in with a quip. They're all drunk, right? He just comes in and just goes, very gay. I was like, what? I mean, from what he's not even gay, right?
He's not
a straight
gay.
dude.
He's not gay.
But like, Daniel Caesar just gets straight up.
Yeah.
He just interrupts the whole stream. Just goes, what? Like, you want to get into this? And he's just getting fully offended.
He got fully offended. They all were drinking, apparently.
They were drunk. John Mayer was saying, this is what happens when you're just live streaming. I'm on a show, and, you know, we've all been drinking. Sometimes you accidentally say the wrong thing, and it only takes, like, 3 seconds to take back. And Dave Chappelle's like, accidental is the wrong word here, because he's insisting it's not accidental. It isn't. And John Mayer, John Mayer he's still huge. He knows he knows the right way to present himself. You know, he's being PC basically because he knows it's going to cause a backlash, right?
Yeah.
And Dave Chappelle's like, no, you're getting offended that a comedian just said you're gay. You're getting offended. That's the problem.
That's the whole point of it.
That's the whole point of comedy.
Yes.
You know? And it just reminds me of something that Joe Rogan had said. He goes, look, if everyone's going to get offended, you're not allowed to call things gay. What the fuck are you going to call gay shit, man? Because some shit is gay. Dudes going to ballet, that's gay. It's a high-skilled profession. I mean, it's a pursuit that's worthy. It's super difficult. People know how hard it is. But dudes watching ballet, it's pretty gay.
And that's the thing. Like, it's gay, but doesn't mean that gay is a bad thing.
Exactly.
This, for example, his music is gay. It's a joke. But his music is also fucking amazing.
He's a fucking amazing singer.
It's the same thing as ballet. I personally wouldn't watch ballet, but I can respect how much time.
Mate, if you don't start at like age 4 or whatever, you're too old. Like, it's a lifetime pursuit to be good at ballet.
Lomachenko is a boxer from, I think, Ukraine or Russia. I think he's won over 300 fights, and essentially his dad wouldn't let him box unless he did ballet. So he did ballet for 10 years and he has the most amazing footwork. And boxers go to ballet or these sort of people to learn that because it's such an amazing art.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong,
and the coordination.
It's an incredible pursuit. It's for anything that requires a lifetime of dedication just to be competent at.
Yes.
You know that's a worthy pursuit.
Exactly.
But guys watching ballet is pretty gay.
It is pretty gay. But that's what I'm saying. It's just a descriptive thing. It's not a negative connotation, you know what I mean?
Exactly,
and it's kind of funny. He's saying it to be inappropriate. It's called being a fucking comedian, okay?
I know, saying rogue shit is all part of being a comedian.
Being funny.
That's why Dave Chappelle's one of the best at it. That's why he's one of the best of all time. Actually, this is just an example of an old school great comedian just smashing into that hard wall that is now modern PC culture. All the shit you can and can't say. Look, Dave Chappelle, as much backlash as he's getting, he would serve himself better just by doing him. And I remember...
He is though. He didn't back down.
And he didn't back down.
Yeah,
he
but
did.
John Mayer was like, "Alright guys, we're gonna virtue signal.
Man, look, this is what happens on my show." I'm like, fuck off, John Mayer. I'm seeing John Mayer live later this month. I can't fucking wait.
Yeah.
He's another talent. He's a talent.
John Mayer. He is fucking talent, man.
Yeah, dude, he's...
But then he said all that to sort of like ease everything over. And then Dave Chappelle goes, "Whoopsie, motherfucking poopsie."
Whoopsie, motherfucking oopsie. I'm like, oh shit, dude. But it reminds me of something that I heard recently. It was an interview of Charles Barkley. He was on the Dr. Phil show.
Dr. Phil.
And one of the things he said is just like halfway through his first year in the NBA, halfway through his rookie year, he would say one thing like, "Thank God, my prayers go, like I'm praying, thank God for all this opportunity." And then you get calls from people saying, "Look, you can't say God. It like offends certain people." And it's like, "Oh man, I got to like change what I say." And they change what he say, and then a relative would call him up and start railing at him for like, "Oh, how come you're saying this and that? Your opinion
going against yourself."
Yeah. And he goes, "I made that realization that anything you say will upset half the people." And he just goes, "Anything I said would upset half the people. So from now on, I'm just going to be truthful. That's it. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be truthful, and I'm going to rely on the belief that I have a positive message." So these three things, just be truthful, be you, and rely on the fact you have a positive message. And it doesn't matter who you offend. And that's how he's had such a great career. Like, part of it, obviously, being an epic basketball player. But, like, that's how he's handled the media world. He's kept it simple for himself. Just have a positive message and rely on being truthful and being real.
Sounds like Jordan Peterson's voice.
Exactly. Truth and courage. Oh, man. Opera House. How good was that?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Dude, that was great.
I was going to say as well with Dave Chappelle, it's so funny examining what he's saying as well, because essentially Dave Chappelle left in like the early to mid 2000s. He took some time away from the industry, and then he came back in like 2016, 17. He's still 2004-5 Dave Chappelle in the modern climate. Yes. So it's just so weird to see those things juxtaposed. He's like,
he's a comedian stuck in a time warp.
He's in a time warp.
Fucking time warped into the future and said, "What the fuck has happened to comedy?" But not just comedy. Like he's
society.
Yeah, to society by extension, society. Yeah. So I hope that Dave Chappelle just continues to stay real, man.
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
He's the best. They all got along at the end of that. Sorry, just to finish up the video. You can look it up on YouTube. But yeah, they all got along at the end of the video and all worked out well. And that's the power of his comedy.
Black actors gotta stick together, man. Black actors. So, that's about all we've got time for, actually. We run a little bit over an hour, but that was good. It was a more somber tone.
Yeah, it was
the majority of it. A lot more discussion. It's part of what we want to do too. So I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Yes.
I hope it made you think.
Yes.
And stay real, guys.
Stay real, guys.
Alrighty.
It's been around for me. Kingdoms are falling.
Damn, this is gay.
Angels be calling.
Very gay.
Very gay.
So are you still on your diet tonight, or can you get a fat burger?
I'll go with you. Yeah.
Well, you get a veggie burger.
I'll get a veggie burger.
You go vegan.
I'll go vegan.